Welcome back to Stinging Back, the podcast where we expose the deception behind online sting operations and the law enforcement tactics that often cross the line from investigation into entrapment. I'm A.
And I'm M. Today's episode, this is part 2. We've dug into a case about Pierce County, Washington, involving a man named Andrew. D is here with us.
And we are presenting part 2 today. Okay, so she says, I just want to make sure, no anal with us. And then he says,
I don't like it anyway.
And then she says, look, we are 13 and looking for fun. Please don't take advantage of us. We don't do this all that often, and we are thinking you are being really weird. We don't know you yet, and we are getting the feeling like something weird is going on here. This isn't a fantasy thing, and we are really 13, not looking for any problems or being taken advantage of. So there are clearly missing text messages here, right? Because this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 messages that the undercover sent without Andrew responding to anything. So right here where she says this isn't a fantasy thing and we really are 13, that indicates that Andrew must have made some kind of comment about, role play, and this must be a fantasy thing. And he started questioning them or calling them out. And that's typically when they start attacking the men, accusing them of being weird and there's something wrong with you, not looking for any problems or being taken advantage of. They're the ones aggressively pushing for sex, requesting alcohol and drugs and condoms and lube. And now they're so worried about being taken advantage of. I mean, before that, they were acting like they were going to sexually assault him. So it doesn't.
Yeah. After all of that 6 confusing, you're weird stuff, Andrew says, look, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that you weren't in this much of a hurry. I had to make sure I didn't forget anything. Do you guys have work tomorrow or something? Or, I wish you would have said you wanted me down there fast because I would have left work right away. I lollygag, kind of thinking, okay, I don't maybe want to be too quick now. I wish I had been a lot quicker. See, there's a lot missing here.
I think we skipped some. So before that, because when she says this isn't a fantasy thing and we really are 13, not looking for problems, she says, can you at least send us a pic of yourself on this or something? So they're requesting nudes. They're trying to get him to send a dirty picture. And then she says again, we have sent you pics of us, which, I'm sure we're adult women. And then sometimes they will use AI, or alter those photos.
Well, and up to this point, all we have read reference to is a single pic where he said, you look like you're 12. And now it's saying we have sent you pics, plural, of us.
Exactly. So all of that is missing. And so they're really pressuring him. And that's when, he says, look, I'm sorry, I was under the impression that you weren't in this much of a hurry. So that right there is showing desperation. They're desperate for him to get there. So it's very inconsistent. So of course it's going to cause confusion because it's like, oh, we're worried that you might be trying to take advantage of us, but please hurry up and get here to take advantage of us, right? He straight out says, I was under the impression that you weren't in this much of a hurry. He's not in a hurry to get there. They're in a hurry for him to get there.
Right, and then he asks if they have work, and is that why they're in such a rush?
Yeah, if they're 13, if he believes they're really 13, why would he be asking if they're working? And then, yeah, he asks that, and then she says, work, question mark, question mark. We are 13. We can't work. See, I knew it. I wasn't wrong. And then around this point, Andrew requests a phone call. Of course, because he's confused. He can't make sense of this, so he wants to talk to them to find out more.
Right? And he says, I just read the part about you guys being 13. Are you serious? Are you guys seriously 13? Oh my God. I'm not. If this is such
Effing,
BS, I knew you guys were fucked up.
effed up.
Now, at 20:52 hours, UC Trooper Wilcox received a phone call from Andrew. They spoke for about 5 minutes. UC Trooper Wilcox talked about being 13 years old multiple times. When Andrew was asked about bringing condoms, Andrew stated they were packed. Andrew stated he could go to jail for this. Andrew stated he was on his way.
Okay, so I'm wondering too if this is another one of those cases where they don't have the phone call recorded. I guess it was just a phone call, not video chat. But typically, in a lot of these cases, they omit the recording of the phone call, and they will just provide a transcript of the phone call. So of course, they could put in there whatever they want and omit whatever they want. I'm not sure if that's the case with this particular case.
Right? Or the officer has made notes, supposedly, about the conversation and they put that into court. And they lost the recording in downloads. Or there are so many excuses as to why these things aren't kept and put into the Brady.
Yeah, and typically it's going to be because they push really hard for sex. But even with the omitted evidence, you can tell how hard they were pushing for sex, alcohol, drugs, lube, and condoms.
What I'm reading really interesting. We see the text on our side, so we're reading it all, and how this supposed 13-year-old is aggressively pushing this man over and over, and she's taking a position of authority in the station.
That's a really good observation. Yeah.
13-year-old does not have the gall or the mental fortitude or the maturity to take lead in a sexual conversation. So again, they lead with this. This is how they get people. They disguise it so much as a role play situation because, reasonably speaking, I don't know a single child who's worried about getting pregnant at age 13. Also, I don't know a single one who would actually engage in some type of conversation like this with a friend at that too. So it to me, I'm reading this as a third party, and it screams somebody trying to engage in some level of role play.
Yes, a 13-year-old does not have the sexual maturity or confidence to do this. This is a total stranger that they are engaging online in this, and even if it were, like teenagers doing this, it wouldn't be a 13-year-old. It'd be somebody older, and it'd be a group of them just having fun, and it'd probably be boys, just trying to entrap men, to then shame them or whatever, which is typically like what the vigilante groups do. But no, that would not be real. A 13-year-old does not have, the libido of an adult man, which is, the behavior of these pretend 13-year-olds in this conversation, in this situation, is more acting like someone with the libido of a sexually matured and experienced adult man. And so, yeah, of course, it does not add up.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation continues. So she says, okay, I want to make sure we were still good. You were funny on the phone. We both got good laughs.
Yeah.
And then she says, do you know how long it will take to get here?
35.
So there it is. They're requesting the drugs and the alcohol. They want to make sure he's going to bring that. And then she says, do you really think we are effed up? And the word F is typed out.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not bringing drugs, and I don't want to buy you alcohol either. I had no idea that you guys were 13 until that I read that text message just now. Literally, why we're like 30 minutes ago or whatever, when I got on the road and I looked back through the messages, you guys kept sending me messages while I was getting ready. Andrew also says, that's the first time you told me that you were 13, and now I think you're effing with me. And you're not 13, but I don't know what to think, so I'm just gonna find out and see you before I make any decisions, because I don't think you messing with me. Now I think you're just saying you are just to F with me. Why wouldn't you tell me that in the first place?
Good point, Andrew.
Right. And I would not be coming.
And this is important because this points out, this shows, this is evidence that we have seen in so many of these cases. It's one of the tactics they use. They wait until they know the man is on his way there already before they bring up age. I have heard this from so many men with these cases. They say they didn't even mention being underage until I was already on my way there. And the good thing about Andrew's case is that he actually says it, but this is logically what most of the men are thinking. And Andrew's case has helped. This helps Andrew's case because he typed it. And in a lot of these cases, well, the men are driving or, they're getting ready and they're not going to type the whole thing. And because they didn't say it, then it doesn't exist. And that means they didn't think it, because the way these cases are prosecuted is only what they typed is what these men were thinking. But it's logical that, for them to think, okay, well, this doesn't sound right. I think you're effing with me, but I'm just going to find out. I'm going to go there and I'm going to see you before I make any decisions.
Really great point you just made.
Yes, that's exactly. And because, most of the men don't say it, they don't get the credit for it, but that's a logical response to the situation they've been placed in.
You're a detective, you're reading that text message, you're freaking out because this guy's already shown you he's got doubt, and he more than likely than not does not believe this is a 13-year-old. Maybe it's due to the maturity of the conversation, the leading in sexual, or the fact that she's like, I don't want to get pregnant. Well, old enough to get pregnant? Or any other indicators that this person is in fact an adult. The detective's got to be freaking out. I mean, he's either going to have to not arrest this person or give up some ass, one of the two.
Or, but well, they were brave enough though to still try to.
I'm sure they tried.
They still try to pull it through because they are so used to getting away with it. So the fact that they even left this message in there, right? Because this shows that he questioned it, that he did not believe they were 13. But I think at the same time, they did leave it in because he says, you told me you were 13. I think they intended to use it that way, that he admits that he was told they were 13. But at the same time, he says, I think you're effing with me. And I'm just gonna, go find out.
Yeah.
But that's a logical response. And these, vigilante groups and these officers that do this are like, oh no, but he knew she was 13. He was told she was 13, and he showed up because he knew she was 13, and he just wanted to, take advantage of this 13-year-old. And that's just not logical. What's more logical is exactly what Andrew showed here. And if, the problem is that most of the men don't type it out like that. But just because they didn't say it doesn't mean that's not what they were thinking. That's the most logical thing to think. So, anyway, after Andrew says that, the undercover detective or this pretend child sent like 8 messages back to back. And this is very typical. He is confronting them, he is calling them out. So, what is their response? You are being so mean. And then the next message says, I told you I was 13 when you said I look like 12 in my picture. Okay, well, if they did tell him that, they didn't include that in the evidence because we didn't see that in the text messages, did we? That came much later. And
Yeah,
then
well, at that point, she says, well, what is age to you?
that's right. He said, what is a kid to you or something like that.
Yeah, something
They
like that.
didn't say I'm 13. And then the third message, he still hasn't even responded. They said, I showed you pics of me and you even said I was young. And then fourth message, without him responding, I'm so confused at your text. Again, there's no timestamp, so we have no idea how much time has passed. And then fifth message, and he still hasn't responded unless they, deleted those messages. Then she says, I even told you my friend was 13 when you said we looked young. The sixth message, without him responding, and all in capital letters. We are 13. Don't come here if you think we are lying. And then, so yeah, you could tell they're getting desperate now. They desperately need to make it look like he truly believes they are 13. And then the seventh message, with him still not responding to them, she says, "You freaking us out." And then the eighth message, we thought you wanted to have sex. And now I think you are going to come and lecture us. We don't need a dad to bring down this party. And then finally he responds,
Andrew says, I did want to party and have sex, but originally I didn't know you guys were 13. That changes everything. And then he does say, I am almost there.
I am almost in, I'm not sure why that's Fife. Do you think he was trying
Maybe
to,
a city named Fife up in the area or something.
oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. And then she says, what does it change? Don't want you to come at us all preaching church at us.
I'm preaching no church at you.
You can't save us. Don't waste your time or ours.
I'm not trying to save you.
I ain't doing this until I know for sure you still have condoms and are going to have fun. You didn't bring drinks or Molly?
You're going to have fun, don't worry.
What does that mean? You have to help us. We are freaked out with all the things you said. You said things and then took them back. We don't know what you're really here for.
I'm here to have fun.
Do you have condoms? Send a pic of them.
And Andrew says, you think I threw them away or something? Of course. I still have everything. Jesus.
And so that shows at this point they're worried. They want to make sure that he is showing up with condoms, that he is showing up with drugs, that he is showing up with alcohol. And you see how they are demanding this. They demanded sex, they demanded drugs, alcohol, condoms, and then they dropped the lube. At some point, they requested the lube. It all came from them. None of it came from him. He was just looking for a good time with a consensual adult.
Well, yeah, this that they throw in here at the end, or yeah, the next thing they throw in, Detective Garden knows through training and experience in working child exploitation cases that people who exploit children will often talk in code or refuse to believe what is being told to them in order to avoid detection by law enforcement.
Okay, that is, yeah. So that is total gaslighting. They want to confuse the court, the jury, the public. Oh, this is a dangerous child predator, and he wants to pretend like he's confused because that's what they do. No, it was a natural response. Of course he's going to be confused.
Whenever you see the wording in my training and or experience, be prepared to sit down because you're about to get some BS.
So now on March 16th, Andrew followed his instructions of the undercover and drove to a predetermined meet location at a Shell gas station in Pierce County, Washington, at about 1000 hours, Andrew was observed by surveillance units in the parking lot of the Shell. Andrew sent a picture to the undercover of the Shell. Andrew refused to send a picture of the condoms, but assured he had them in a bag. Andrew was given the address of the residence in Tacoma, Pierce County, Washington. Andrew arrived at the house at about 10:02 and exited his vehicle and entered the residence carrying a duffel bag. Undercover Trooper Wilcox let Andrew into the house and told him her friend was in the shower and wanted to know if he wanted her vaginal area shaved. Andrew asked if this was real and stated he would prefer her to be shaved. Andrew was placed into custody and advised of his constitutional rights. Search incident to arrest. A cell phone was located on his person. Detective Garden sent multiple texts to the number he was communicating with, Andrew, and they observed the texts come up on Andrew's phone.
Andrew was interviewed by Seattle Police Department Detective Burdett. Andrew was read Miranda, which he understood. He was advised the interview was being recorded. Andrew said he came today to meet the two girls he was chatting with. He stated he saw a picture of the two girls and said to them that they appeared to be 13 years of age. Yeah, right. Today he came to the house in hopes that either they were not actually 13, or if they were 13, to simply confirm that fact and take action from there. Andrew admitted to having drugs in his car after the recording ended. Andrew stated he thought he might have been willing to have sex with two 13-year-olds. I think that part is made up. And I was going to point out something about the paragraph that you read, M.
I mean, the whole thing's really interesting because, it's one of those things you should never talk to police when you are detained or under arrest. Let me just go ahead and be the very first advocate to say that, or the 100th intent to say that. You don't talk to police. I don't care if you feel like there's a glimmer of hope for you not to be in jail. You don't talk to police, point blank, period. I don't care if it's on a traffic stop. You do not admit to any type of alleged crime because these guys know more than you. I mean, I hate to say it. You don't fight somebody in their own domain. You fight them in court. I'm happy they did not conduct any type of wild use of force on him. I think that would have been just really outrageous.
Or at least they left it out.
Yeah, they left it out. Yeah, thank you. They just went to a really great length in order to make this case. And if you have to work that hard to make a case happen, chances are you done engaged in entrapment. I mean, let's be honest. And we're hearing, ballpark words like in my training, indoor experience. In other words, I think this is, but I don't really have enough to go off of. So I'm going to grab from this library of training and experience that I may or may not have. It's essentially a platform to lie. Because I'm not sure. I've read text. And again, understand I have the same training. I've been through state level of training. I'm not picking up on anything that is code whatsoever. I mean, if he was to mention something about a butterfly, if he would have brought some type of sumo toy, something like that, that's actually a concrete, code word or, an item, yeah. But none of these cases are matching the criteria, nor is the profiles matching.
What do you think about the fact, and it says it right on this report, and this is overlooked, of course, by the court and by so many, but it says UC, which is undercover, Trooper Wilcox. So this was who he was chatting with, the adult woman. UC Trooper Wilcox let Andrew into the house and told him her friend was in the shower and wanted to know if he wanted her vagina area shaved. Okay, at this point, he saw a woman. Do you think this trooper looked like a 13-year-old?
Probably not. No, I would say probably not.
No, most likely not. So at this point, he confirmed that it was an adult woman. And most people miss that fact. It's like he said he was going to show up to see and find out. He shows up, he sees an adult woman. And then she says the friend is and she's talking like an adult woman. Oh, the friend is in the shower. Do you want, her private area shaved? We're preparing for a threesome here. Does that sound like a 13-year-old? So I'm pretty sure that not only does she not look like a 13-year-old, she's not talking like a 13-year-old. She's talking like an adult woman who wants to engage in a threesome
So
with some random man.
Does this 13-year-old have an outrageous bush?
Yeah, exactly. And what does a 13-year-old know about, shaving their private area? But
they don't.
They're talking about that. And this is exactly why I say these people are sexualizing children and they are promoting and encouraging the sexual abuse of children. They are talking about a 13-year-old shaving her private area. Like, think about that. People are missing these details.
You are in law enforcement. You have a lot of things to do. If it's about money, go do a different grant. Why are you engaging in open entrapment? It's not in my training and experience. I were to think, no, you're openly engaging in entrapment. That's what you are doing.
For sure. And and this shows how desperate they are to create these cases. This is what they call child protection. This is why we put this out there for you, for all of you that still think that these sting operations are about saving and protecting children from dangerous child predators that are online looking for minors, to lure them and groom them to sexually exploit and abuse them. No, that's not it. I mean, please comment if you really believe that after listening to this chat, that these police officers truly were trying to save and protect children from sexual exploitation or sexual abuse. Let us know what you think. So there you have it. A man whose profile said 52 talking to a profile that said 52 gets pulled into a fantasy scenario entirely scripted by law enforcement and ends up facing felony charges.
We've said it before and we'll say it again. When the government fabricates the story, sets the bait, and drives the narrative, what they're really catching isn't predators. It's people who may have never crossed the legal line until they were guided to one.
Guys, I guarantee you they probably went to the break room and started, getting high fives out like it was candy. And they're actually proud of the cases they're making just like this. So when you see the news pop up and they're going to have a press conference each and every time because they need to look like the heroes in their own stories, just know this is what's actually going on.
Yeah, it's disgusting. These operations raise serious constitutional concerns. There is a huge difference between intercepting genuine threats and manufacturing crime from a fictional setup. The courts need to do better in recognizing when law enforcement becomes an instigator. Thank you for listening. If this episode made you question what you thought you knew about online sting operations, please share it, subscribe, review, and help us keep shining a light on the truth.
And remember, justice shouldn't be a trap. Until next time,
keep stinging back.
And the Constitution is your only friend.